Hi everyone, this is Roxanne Fuentes, and I wanted to share a few reflections on our readings regarding creativity and innovation this past week. One concept I continue to think about is Robinson's premise that we are born creative individuals, yet we grow out of this creativity as a result of our experiences within bureaucratic and linear systems like schools. One of the things that our readings have been able to provide are multiple examples of how private industry has been very successful in establishing creative environments for their employees, which as a result has made them very successful companies within their given industry. I think that there's a lot that can be learned from companies like Pixar and like Apple that can also be applied to our school systems so that we're providing beyond the basics education for our students and truly preparing them for the 21st century and being competitive within a global society. Recently, I had the opportunity to attend a leadership symposium held at Google's Southern California headquarters, which is located in Venice Beach. If you ever have the opportunity to attend one of their leadership symposiums, I highly recommend it. Here you see a photo of the building itself. On its own, it speaks to creativity and innovation. It is obviously not your standard typical skyrise building. When you walk into the Google headquarters, it's an open floor plan. There's a lot of abstract art exhibited, and as you walk down their corridors, they're lined with whiteboards, so that way visitors and coworkers alike can stop in the midst of having an idea and draw it onto the board. And more importantly, once you walk away, your coworkers can see the start of your idea or your quote and add to it so that it becomes so much more than what an individual had once envisioned. One of the concepts that they shared during their leadership symposium was the concept of 10x or 10 times thinking. One of the things that they shared was that part of their philosophy in encouraging out-of-the-box thinking is how they assist their employees in establishing goals. They shared that it's very typical for individuals within any setting to establish incremental goals, typically at the level of 10%, with the assumption that 10% growth does require diligence, it requires hard work, and a 10% gain does show, is an indicator of growth and progress. However, Google, wanting to really encourage out-of-the-box thinking and innovative problem solving, say that when you define a goal based on a small scale of 10%, inevitably what happens is you end up focusing on existing tools and assumptions. You really aren't pushing the envelope in thinking about creative ways to solve current issues. So instead, what they do is they challenge their employees to problem solve so that there is a 10 times gain versus 10% gain. And they go even further to say when you're establishing goals, it's better to establish an impossible goal versus a goal that you're looking for a minimal of 10% growth, because if you establish an impossible goal, for sure, at minimum, you will easily surpass that initial 10% because you will be leaning on the concept of bravery, the willingness of taking risk, and truly being creative on how you're going to reach that exponential target. They share that that kind of reasoning and that kind of out of the sky problem solving is what helped scientists back in the day visualize that a man could one day land on the moon. And that's the kind of thinking that we want our students to have in school. Based on that 10 times thinking concept, it's clear that Google really wants to empower their employees, encourage their individuality, but also support the ideas and projects that they can pursue in collaboration. One of the opportunities that Google provides to their employees to be able to encourage creativity is an 80-20 framework within the workplace. 80% of the time, Google employees are expected to work within assigned Google projects. However, another 20% of the time, they're allowed to pursue and research their own passions and curiosities that may eventually evolve into potential Google 10x projects. And I'll be sharing with you in a minute some of what those projects might include. A famous saying of Larry Page, who's their CEO, is if you're not doing some things that are crazy, then you're doing the wrong things. As a leader of his corporation, he's basically letting his employees know it's okay to have a crazy idea. It's okay if that crazy idea doesn't work. What's more important is what you learn through that process and how that knowledge then goes into your next idea, which may be the one that's significantly successful. Some of the current Google 10x projects that are happening is the self-driving car, and then one of my favorites is the Loon project, which is a concept of balloon-powered internet for all, especially people who currently live in rural areas in the U.S. and can't access any satellite to gain internet access. One of the things that I think companies like Google, like Pixar, like Apple really cause educators to do is to really reconsider the kind of school or district climate we would really like to develop. One that does foster innovation and creativity, and what would that require? Looking very simply here at 3 things: start, stop, share. What are practices we would like to start within our schools or within our districts to ensure that they are safe places for people to be creative? More importantly, what practices do we need to stop? What practices currently exist in our system that we know are not allowing creativity and innovation to take place? And finally, how can we build in more opportunity for our students and for our staff members to share, collaborate, and ultimately create? Thank you.